Have you considered at all what happens if you lose?
No, not at all. I don't think about losing because I'm too busy thinking about winning.
When most fighters are focused on the risk, Terence Crawford is speaking the truth to Canelo Alvarez. It's more than just faith. Crawford has already pictured the reward in his mind. No fear, no doubt, only legacy. If you thought this fight was only about belts or money, you're wrong.
Everything for my legacy and my career, and I'm looking forward to it.
Crawford's attitude is unshakable, but not everyone is convinced. Despite his undefeated record and dominance across multiple weight classes, some fans were left with more questions than answers after Terence Crawford's recent fight against Israil Madrimov. The performance wasn't very thrilling, and his usual sharpness seemed to fade. Even though he appeared to win, critics pounced, calling it flat, cautious, and even a sign that Crawford isn't ready for Canelo, who is bigger and more experienced. In a recent interview, Crawford was asked about the fight with Madrimov. Here's what he had to say. Great
performance. I thought I did what I wanted in the ring. I thought I picked it up when I wanted to. I thought I banged when I wanted to, boxed real well. I don't take nothing from it, because styles make fights, and Canelo has a different style than Israil Madrimov. So, we just go from there.
No apologies, no regrets, just clear, calm, and in control. Crawford doesn't view the fight with Madrimov as a red flag, but as part of the plan. His goal wasn't to impress critics. Instead, he was gathering information, managing risk, and saving the big statement for a much bigger night. But with a fighter like Canelo in the ring, that level of calculated confidence could either shine or collapse in front of everyone. That's what makes this fight so risky, unpredictable, and personal for Crawford. It's not just about belts or legacy, it's about silencing all doubters with the most calculated risk of his career. After Crawford shrugged off concerns from his last performance, another wave of criticism emerged, this time from someone who knows the super middleweight division well. Jose Benavidez, father and trainer of David Benavidez, is known for never holding back. Benavidez Sr. didn't just question Crawford's strategy, he called the entire Canelo fight a terrible idea from the beginning.
Terence Crawford's a little guy, He's coming up 2 divisions to fight Canelo Alvarez, and you think he's going to go toe-to-toe with Canelo? Come on, man. Terence Crawford's a great fighter, really good fighter, but that's too much weight for him. So he's going to try to survive and move around and try to win the round. That's what's going to happen.
Crawford isn't coming just to win by dominating. He's coming to survive, as stated by Benavidez Sr. And this emotion is part of a much larger narrative. Canelo, even in his decline, is still seen as too strong, too experienced, and too heavy-handed for a naturally smaller fighter like Crawford. Benavidez sees not only a physical mismatch, but also a stylistic one, which he believes will lead to one of the most uneventful mega-fights in recent memory.
Canelo at the stage right now, his legs are not the same, the body's not responding the same, so I think he's going to have problems trying to catch Terence Crawford, to be honest with you, and I think it's going to be the same fight, I think it's going to be boring, exciting, because I heard that Canelo was the worst fight ever on pay-per-view to throw the less punches in history, so we're hoping to see a great fight, a good fight, but that matchup is not a matchup to be excited.
Benavidez Sr. is clearly pushing the narrative that Crawford doesn't belong at 168 and that fans should lower their expectations. But there's an undertone here that's hard to ignore. If Crawford somehow pulls this off, if he makes Canelo miss, frustrates him, and takes over with speed and timing, it won't just silence critics. It'll shake the very foundation of the super middleweight division. For fighters like Benavidez Jr., who have waited years for a shot at Canelo, it would be a bitter pill. Not every boxing legend believes Crawford's choice is wise, though. Enter Juan Manuel Marquez, a Mexican, great and Hall of Famer who never holds back. When asked about Crawford versus Canelo, Marquez didn't mince words.
I don't like the fight because Terence Crawford is a good fighter, but in the sport of boxing, it has divisions. What I mean,
Right, weight classes.
Right? Yeah, weight classes
for a reason.
Weight classes and Terence Crawford is a good fighter in super lightweight, welterweight, super welterweight, but I think more. I remember when Terence Crawford fought with Madrimov.
Yes.
He looks slow. He looks with no power, and 3 more divisions, two more divisions. I think it's a top fight for Terence Crawford, but
That comes from a man who truly understands what it means to move through weight classes the hard way. Marquez has fought in 4 divisions, facing legends like Pacquiao, Mayweather, and Barrera, so when he says weight matters, he's speaking from experience, not just opinion. The Crawford-Canelo debate is about more than just technique. It's about size, power, and whether elite boxing IQ can overcome raw physicality and the spectacle of big-time boxing. One of the most brutally honest voices in the sport didn't hold back while breaking it all down. He made one thing very clear: Crawford can study Bivall's blueprint, but that doesn't mean he can replicate it.
Is the fight you got to study if you're Crawford. Crawford ain't Floyd, but he can do a Bivol. The problem is Bivol's a big dude. I got a lot of fighters Canelo fought at 168 beating Crawford. I got Caleb Plant beating Crawford. I got Berlanga beating Crawford. I got Callum Smith beating Crawford. Just way too huge, of course. But that's why Crawford ain't campaigning at 168. He's trying to beat Canelo because Canelo is a special case. He's one of the best fighters of all time, and he's actually a little guy who ballooned up to 160.
In other words, Crawford isn't aiming to take over the super middleweight division. This is a one-night heist, a surgical strike, a shot at history, not a long-term move. And that makes it even riskier because if he falls short, people will say he overreached, not that he dared to be great. Despite concerns about weight and strength, some believe the fight still delivers where it matters most. Veteran commentator Jim Lampley, whose voice defined an era of big-time boxing on HBO, may have doubts about the size gap, but he's still intrigued by the matchup itself. In his view, Crawford versus Canelo isn't just about weight. It's about who breaks first.
Crawford is going to fight Canelo because even if I have some doubts and misgivings about the size matchup, it is 2 action fighters who like to fight aggressively at times, not all the times, going against each other, and we'll see who can open the other person's tuna can, so to speak.
In other words, forget the tale of the tape. This could come down to who's smarter when it matters most. Canelo may be bigger, but he's slowing down. Crawford may be smaller, but he's fresher and more cerebral, which is more than enough for fans like Lampley to stay invested. Legendary fights aren't always fair. They're just unforgettable. Boxer and analyst Johnny Mansour, who's never hidden his admiration for Crawford, admits this bout makes him nervous, for both good and bad reasons.
Crawford.
I love Canelo, but Crawford is one of my favorite fighters. He's super crafty inside the ring, very good fundamentally, but he's stepping up to a very high division. So all respect to Crawford, but I'm gonna have to say Canelo, and I hope he doesn't hurt Crawford, but I think he will.
That's the line Crawford is walking, not just trying to beat a stronger man, but also trying to survive the risks that come with chasing greatness. Every inch of legacy he's reaching for comes at a price, and some believe Canelo will make him pay it in full. Even boxers who admire Crawford's ring IQ question whether he's biting off more than he can chew. Teofimo Lopez, known for his bold opinions and in-ring toughness, picked Canelo without hesitation, but not without thought. While he acknowledged Crawford's superior boxing brain, he couldn't ignore the physical reality. Canelo, who you got?
Crawford, Canelo, who you got? Crawford, Canelo? I still say Canelo.
I got Canelo too.
I still say Canelo. Ring IQ, I believe that Crawford has a bit more.
Yep.
However, it's just the size difference. I think that where Crawford is lacking is that he should try test the waters even with somebody at that weight class before facing Canelo. But hey, they say he's a dog, he's got shot in the head and drove to the hospital, so maybe that's just his mentality.
Hey, let's see. Only one way to find out till that day comes.
It's the only way, but I definitely think that it's a great fight overall. You know, black and brown is how you get down.
That's what makes this matchup so divisive. It's not just skill versus skill, it's attitude versus size. And in a sport where margins matter, Crawford's courage could be his greatest strength or his downfall. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who faced Canelo in a high-profile All-Mexico clash back in 2017, was direct with his opinion after watching Canelo's recent performances. Chavez Jr. believes the 4-division champion has lost some of his fire, But even this version of Canelo, he says, is still too much for Crawford. Crawford has heart and talent, but the real question is how much weight he can carry and how much risk he's truly willing to face.
Canelo is the favorite of this fight. It's still a big than Crawford. And I don't know, Crawford, how is Crawford now? It's my age, 39, and last performance don't look good. So I pick Canelo in the...
Yeah, any advice you can give to Crawford, any insight at all from, I know it's been years since you fought Canelo, he's gotten better, bigger, and...
Run.
Chavez Jr.'s take highlights the fight's biggest issue, physicality. No matter how technically skilled Crawford is, size isn't just a number. It's a punishment waiting to happen if you're not built for it. And according to Chavez, who has felt Canelo's power firsthand, Crawford will need more than just boxing skills. He should bring his running shoes too. Tita Garcia, a trainer known for working with elite fighters, analyzed the fight from both a technical and psychological perspective. For him, it's not just about size, it's about timing. And he believes Crawford is catching Canelo at exactly the right moment.
I think Crawford has the skill set to be able to outbox him, to be able to move, give him a tough time and win the decision. I really think he does have the skills to beat him. I think the size, yes, it's a big factor, but the way Canelo looked in his last fight, I think he's kind of more. He's very comfortable now. He does whatever he has to do to win now. He doesn't really push himself the way he used to when he was younger. I think all that's going to help out Terence Crawford, and I think he's gonna come out with it.
Garcia's perspective touches on something deeper. Not just the physical wear on Canelo, but a kind of motivational fatigue. While Crawford is chasing legacy, Canelo might be pacing himself for the long game. With all eyes on how he'll handle his toughest challenge yet, Crawford delivered a short but powerful message to both fans and critics alike.
Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez, the biggest fight in boxing.
Well, Canelo's the face of boxing. He's the best fighter for Terence Crawford out there. He's the biggest fight for Terence Crawford out there. So that's why Terence Crawford want to take the opportunity to share a ring with another great.
How do you beat him?
You'll see. Come 12.
No hesitation, no backpedaling, just complete certainty. This wasn't a boxer chasing a payday, it was a legacy-driven champion declaring war. And in one powerful line, Crawford made it clear. This fight isn't about survival, it's about shock, strategy, and seizing the crown. That's exactly Crawford's mindset heading into the bout. He's not aiming for a flashy knockout, he's focused on outclassing Canelo round by round. Crawford broke it down in a recent interview.
I was stopping. I just got to beat him. I'm not going in there looking to knock Canelo out. Could it happen? Yes, absolutely. You know, when I look at Canelo, he's a smaller, bigger guy moving up in divisions. You know, being that these big guys is slower, so they might catch him with something, but he might see it at the last moment. You know, they might catch him with a hard shot, but he's able to roll and turn with it. You know, because he's coming from a smaller weight class that was faster, that was sharper. You know, I'm coming from a smaller weight class that's faster and sharper. So if he get hit with a sharp punch that he don't see.
As excitement for this historic showdown builds, analysts and insiders are weighing in on the blend of skill and brutality. Dan Rodriguez, a respected boxing analyst, shared his thoughts on how the matchup is unfolding. He acknowledges Crawford's technical edge, but also highlights Canelo's unmatched experience and size advantage, two factors that could heavily influence the outcome.
That's a great fight. I feel like Crawford has the edge on that one. I feel like he has more skills than Canelo, but Canelo has the size advantage, and he's a very experienced fighter as well. So I think it's just a matter of seeing what happens. But in that fight, I favor Crawford.
Does that fight end in stoppage, you think, or?
I don't think so. I don't.
Okay. When it comes to insight from those who've faced Canelo, Diego Pacheco's opinion carries weight. Pacheco, who has sparred with the Mexican superstar, offers a unique perspective on Crawford's upcoming fight. He acknowledges Canelo's physical advantage, but emphasizes Crawford's speed and elusive style, making the matchup a fascinating puzzle for both men.
Fight, man, two hell of a fighters. You know, I feel if anyone has the edge, it'd be Canelo because of the size, but again, Crawford is really fast and elusive and can move, can box. A lot of experience, man, so it's really hard, man. I'm excited to watch that fight. I haven't been this excited for a fight in a while.
The build-up has sparked serious anticipation among boxing insiders and fans. This isn't just another fight, it's a clash of styles where every move and tactic could be the difference between victory and defeat. Terence Crawford's bold approach, expert timing, and this stylistic collision elevate the bout far beyond a typical big-money matchup. It's a high-stakes war for legacy, pride, and respect. Only the ring will reveal whether Crawford's precision can overcome Canelo's power and experience. This isn't just a fight, it's a watershed moment that could redefine the super, middleweight division and boxing history as a whole. So what do you think? Will Crawford's intelligence and speed outshine Canelo's raw strength, or is this a mismatch waiting to unfold? Drop your prediction below and tell us how you see this epic showdown playing out.